Welcome to the Resource Podcast, where we take a slightly sassy, fully feminist approach to creating healthy relationships and a joyful life. I'm your host, Tatiana Thompson, and I'm a licensed professional counselor practicing in both Arizona and Minnesota. I specialize in applying clinically proven techniques like EMDR, parts work, and neural reprogramming to help you see real, lasting change in your everyday life. Just remember, I am a licensed therapist, but I'm not your therapist. This show is for informational purposes only, and it's not a replacement for seeking personal mental health or medical advice. So join me now as we explore simple strategies for breaking toxic relationship patterns and applying simple mental health tools to your daily life. Learn how to take the small steps today that will guide you to your best life tomorrow. Hello and welcome to the Resourced Podcast, the show that teaches you to question everything you thought you know about relationships and mental health for people who want more than just ordinary, people who want to live an extraordinary life. I'm your host, Tatiana Thompson, and I'm on a mission to help 1,000 women become emotionally and financially independent so they never have to rely on a relationship for their safety or fulfillment ever again. To that end, today we're going to talk about something that is incredibly near and dear to my heart: financial freedom. I, as a therapist, can report that the number one reason that most women give for staying in toxic or mediocre relationships is money. And I know this from even working with my friends, talking to my friends, and my own life. I've stayed for these reasons, and they're very legitimate. So ladies, I want you to get your mind on your money. I especially want you to stop delegating that responsibility out to anyone but yourself, even a trusted loved one, your partner, whoever that may be. You need to be in the know as well. Now, I want to say, I know this can feel really overwhelming, but I really want to urge you to keep listening. Don't follow any urges to turn away because it feels too big. I know it feels too big. And I don't mean to sound patronizing when I say this, but if you feel an urge right now to turn off this episode, ignore this topic, it's totally natural, but it's actually the opposite of what you need. That urge is telling you that the topic stresses you out, which means it needs your attention to stop creating fear for you. So keep listening. I'm going to give you some actionable steps that are micro steps. I'm also going to give you some resources for people who can help you with this and help you take very small steps. I did this many years back. I think Susie Orman was my person at the time. Absolutely changed my life just following her steps in her book. But there are other resources that I'm going to give you today that I think might even be more accessible. Shout out to Susie. Sorry, I don't know what her life is like these days, but she really did help me. All right. As women, we're kind of in this weird gray zone. I'm telling you not to be dependent on somebody, but I also realize we're much more likely to be in a position of needing to rely on a partner for financial support. And much of that comes from if we are the ones carrying children. But even though we might need to be dependent to a certain extent, that doesn't mean we need to make ourselves completely vulnerable. There is a difference between saying my spouse brings home the income and saying my spouse brings home the income and controls all of the money and I don't have any money set aside that I'm investing for myself or making sure that I am financially secure long term. You can have that as well. The truth is, as women, we are facing enormous inequities when it comes to financial security. I was actually just listening to a podcast with David Bach on Diary of the CEO the other day. Loved the information I learned. And also he goes over some of these inequities that are quite horrifying. And I've listed some of them here, but some of them I've added to as well. Here's one of the big issues is we actually live longer than men on average. So we get stuck holding the bag if poor decisions are made. And believe me, as a therapist, I have firsthand knowledge of how frequently that's happening. Not to mention infidelity and, the old trope of he left me for a younger wife. Guess what? You did all the work. You set aside all of your time. You raised the children. Now what do you have to show for it? It's actually legitimately happening to people, and it's quite sad. Actually, it's devastating. It's not just sad. It's devastating. Because at that point, you've also lost years of investing capacity. And the years, as we all know, is where the interest compounds in a way that actually matters and makes a small amount become a large amount. So ladies, let's get into the stats because they're bad. I want this to be a wake-up call. I'm not trying to move you into fear in a negative way. I'm trying to animate you to actually do something different, okay? You can change this if you start taking steps now. I don't care how old you are. All right, here's one of the stats. The average age that a woman is widowed is 59 years old. That is extraordinarily young. That's not even retirement age, okay? Literally still working to try to retire. Now, I do want to acknowledge that that number has been dragged down by the 30% of women who lose their spouse before the age of 59. So that's not like most women are 59, right? It's an average. Still, the U.S. Census Bureau reports that 58% of women 75 and older have been widowed at least once. So 75, that's still a pretty young age nowadays, and that's over half of women will have been widowed and are now outside of working years. That's a big deal. Then we've got the fact that women average fewer working years to contribute towards their Social Security retirement benefits, and women earn less during their working years than their male counterparts for the same work. Yes, that is always an annoying truth. So both of these factors compound and reduce a woman's Social Security checks for the rest of her life. The rest of her life, her Social Security benefit is smaller, perhaps, than her spouse's because of these factors, or than a man's or anybody else's. That's huge because that could be the difference between walking away with $3,000 a month and maybe $2,000 a month. That's a big difference. Then we've got the fact that women lose marketable skills and job relevance when they take time to raise a family. And that, unfortunately, really is the burden that falls to women primarily. And there are a lot of reasons why that's a wonderful thing. I'm not saying it's a bad thing. I'm saying it affects us financially. It makes it a lot harder also then to earn a viable income when you return to the job force if you've been out of it. Anybody who's been a stay-at-home mom knows this. And beyond that, anecdotally, the stats do support that 100%. Then we've got the fact that women are harmed more by divorce financially. Women's household incomes falls twice as much as their male counterparts. I think the numbers were in the 40% range for women and like 23% for males. That's huge. When a man leaves a marriage, he loses way less income and support financially than his partner. Then, on top of that, during a divorce, women are the custodial parent in 80% of divorces, and that creates an enormous financial burden. Even if you're getting child support from your ex, as anybody who's raising children knows, a $500 child support check a month is not covering all of that. There's so many hidden expenses of having a child in your home. Again, not calling it truly a burden, but it is a financial reality that it does affect us. All right. Then on top of these statistics, we've got all of these stories, like I talked about in my first episode, they're indoctrinations. We're taught some terrible things that keep us away from money, that keep us with our head in the sand. Ladies, the biggest thing ever I want you to hear in my episodes is we got to stop ostriching out. We got to stop sticking our head in the sand about things that are intimidating us. All humans need to, but come on, we got to do this. We got to look at it. The opposite is the medicine. The thing I'm afraid to do is the thing I need to do. If you find this content helpful, please consider leaving a review or share the episode with a friend. I have a fundamental belief that individual healing is what heals the world. The more you share, the more we can grow, and the more people we can reach with our mission to heal the world, one person at a time. So we get the story that a man will support us. That's the way of marriage. And so we're kind of like, oh, well, that's going to be his job. I don't really know how to do that. It's not my role. We also get stories that like talking about money is crass. It's unladylike. It's tacky. Wanting money is gross. I think we even have made this idea that like, the boss lady, she's too aggressive. She's too whatever. And yeah, maybe we've swung the pendulum a little too far trying to be like men to survive in the men's world, but also none of my business. And I'm not even judging that, but I think some women are afraid of coming across that way. And I'm sorry, if that means you're financially secure, go be a boss lady. Okay. At the end of the day, money is the thing that helps us survive. It is the thing that creates security in our lives, and it does matter. All right, another story we're told is women aren't good with money and should leave the bills and investing to their husbands. How's that working out for you? How many women have you heard that that's worked out for? Because I haven't heard of a single one, honestly. I'm talking in real life, right? That I haven't heard that that's worked. But of course, we have like a quadrillion movies and whatnot where the husband dies at 65 and she's not only devastated that he's gone, but now she's found out he's been doing what with our money and trying to hide it from her because he didn't want to get in trouble. Oh my God. Can you imagine finding that out, thinking you're fine, and then losing your spouse and then finding out that you are financially destitute? No, thank you. I also referenced in my first episode how we're indoctrinated to believe that we can't make real money, so we don't really fully try to make real money. Yeah, we can make maybe a little bit more than minimum wage at a job that's not like our primary profession, but that's not the real money. And so what we think we need to do is invest in our husbands or our spouses' career and make sure that they do well so that they can then share that wealth with us. I understand that that can work in certain circumstances, and we're going to talk about how to make that a safe process for you. But generally, if you have the skill sets or you're not even sure what they are, I really want to encourage you to create that career for yourself if you can. Again, if you are a stay-at-home parent, I think that that's a beautiful thing. Do it, but you need to do it in a secure way. And you need to still make meaning through all of that. Because it also, when we're dealing with empty nesting, what does my meaning come from if now the people that I've invested all of my energy in are gone? All right. So beyond that, we just have such an education gap because of all of these stories. Again, if it's not my job, I didn't learn how to do it. I think we have an inverse issue with men and emotional literacy, right? It's not their job, so they didn't learn it. And now they have to pick up the pieces where they didn't get trained. We have to do that with money now, okay, ladies? I am 45 years old, and I'm just now learning about investing beyond setting money in a retirement account. And that makes my brain just explode. Are you kidding me? I'm 45. How has it taken me this long? But it felt like a man's world. It felt intimidating. It also didn't sound interesting, if I'm honest. It didn't feel like a place where I was going to be successful. So I kept my head in the sand. I kept turning away from it thinking, I'll just do the basics. I'll be fine. And maybe I would be, but why not get a cut of that pie? All right. I'm hoping that everything I just said scared you just a little bit. I don't want to scare you so much you walk away, but maybe enough to start doing something different. So that said, wherever you are financially, it's probably quite fixable. Please do not get intimidated, but you're going to have to be intentional. You're going to have to make a decision that this is a number one priority in your life, and then it will set you free. It's called financial freedom for a reason. It creates freedom so that you can do what you want with your time. You can actually have your retirement. You can have your evenings to yourself. You can do the things, see the places, be generous, eat the food, drink the wine. Everything. Take your children if you want to. Take your friends. What a beautiful life. So this is freedom not just from a man or a relationship, but to do what you want with your time and your days. Take a moment and consider how wonderful your life could be if you didn't feel so much tension around money. You just knew it was taken care of by you. All right. In all of this, by the way, I'm not recommending that you stop doing anything pleasurable or just obsess about money at all. I'm just encouraging you to make sure that your security is cared for first. Just like all those financial gurus will say, right? Pay yourself first. That has to be your job. So let's now talk about what you can do to make this a reality for yourself. Take your time, write these down, and just pick one this week that you want to start thinking about. All right. First one. Oh, I got to give a disclaimer. I am not a financial advisor, and this is not a financial advice. These are bigger systemic perspectives that I want you to take. All right. First thing is simple but obvious. Always be in the know about everything related to your finances. Have a budget. Know what you're actually spending. Log it, even if it's just for a week, although I love logging things long term. I think it's a really good way to go. I personally have a budget a Google Sheet that I can access on my phone or my computer, and I log what I spend. It, by the way, keeps you really honest because we're not using cash anymore and can't physically see what we're spending. It keeps you very honest about what you're actually spending. All right. If you're not sure about how to create a budget, there are tons of resources on the internet, and I'm sure many of them are free, but also, again, a good old Google spreadsheet or sheet will always do the trick. The next thing is talk about money regularly. If you have a partner, make it a normal and regular conversation you have at least monthly. You need to go through the budget. You need to see what you're actually spending, if it's lining up with what you anticipated, where you want to spend your money this upcoming year. If you're meeting your goals, if you're not meeting your goals, you need to know all of that. And you also need to know logins for all of your accounts because as an adult, you end up having a lot of different accounts for various reasons. I want you to talk about money with your friends. Ladies, this is not for the finance bros. This is for us too. I was hanging out with my dear friend this weekend, and she was giving me this phenomenal investing advice and made it so simple. And I was thinking, hell yeah, this is what women need to be doing together and talking about. Like, why are we not doing this? So share with your friends. I actually was out with another amazing friend last night, and I spread that information that my other friend shared with me with her, and she was super excited as well. So let's talk to our friends about it. Let's make this normal for ourselves. And I also want you to be talking to a financial planner, at least occasionally. I don't know a ton about this field, but I will say I believe you want to make sure that they are a fiduciary. And aim for somebody you pay hourly just for their advice, not giving them a cut of every percentage, because then whether they're a highly ethical person or not, they are not, that's not going to serve you because they're going to be driven a little bit more by what they're going to make off of the transaction. All right. Now let's move into like, if you are in a relationship and you're sharing like household expenses, and I'm not even talking kids yet. I love this framework. I have someone I love very much in my life who taught this to me. I don't know if they want to mention who that is, so I'm just going to say it's someone I love. And what they do with their spouse is they split the costs of their home and all of their shared accounts by the percentage that each of them brings in. So let's say one of you brings in 40% of the income and one of you brings in 60% of the income. You have a shared account now for mortgage or rent, for general amounts for groceries that you spend every month, for electricity, things like that. And then the person who makes 40% the person who makes 40% of the general income contributes to 40% of that shared amount that's due, and vice versa. The other person contributes to 60%. This just makes it more equitable. And then at the end of all of that, we both contributed to what the family needs for bills. We've both contributed 40 and 60% towards our family investments and long-term retirement. And then after we've paid ourselves first in our household, then anything that's left over is mine. It's in my account. I get to spend it on whatever I want. And you don't get to judge me because I spent it on, I don't know, a TV, or I spent it on a purse or going out with my girlfriends. It's none of your business. And we don't have to fight over that kind of stuff because now I'm not resentful that you're spending our hard-earned money that needs to go towards a mortgage on a PlayStation or a TV or whatever. I don't care because I know that I can count on you to pay a reasonable portion of the bills. The rest of that money is yours. All right. So another thing is just in that having your own personal accounts. No matter how you want to split the bills, please have your own accounts. I'm not saying secret accounts unless you're in a toxic or abusive relationship. In that case, yes, have a secret account and start working with a therapist because you need assistance getting out of there. But I'm saying have openly known about personal accounts where you keep your own money, and then go play with investing on the side with that money too. Like, why not? Why not optimize that? Spend a lot of it for fun too, but try to invest some of it. Now, let's take that a step further. Let's say you're the stay-at-home parent, still have your personal account. So let's say your spouse brings home 100% of the income. Great. I want you two to think about that money as evenly split between the two of you. You are doing a job as well, a very important job, and you do not deserve no money for that job just because it's not paid by society. So think of it as you are now both contributing 50-50. Do the same thing that I just mentioned. You guys put all the money that needs to go towards the household expenses and the future planning for the family. Anything that's left over gets split 50-50. And now you have your own bank account to hold on to that and your own investment accounts as well. And do plan to do investments while you are monitoring the investments for the family. What most women unfortunately don't do in this situation is either of those. They aren't aware that the investments for the family are not what they thought they were. Maybe something underhanded is happening, or maybe just they're not doing as well as they should be. And then she doesn't even have money on the side for herself. Scary, scary, scary. Okay. This is your money too. I don't know if I just feel this urge to go into this further. I don't care if you're not technically bringing money to the house. You are making it possible for your partner to bring more money to the house. You deserve your fair share of that as well. Just because women's labor is not paid or valued does not mean that it's not valuable. Okay, I'm going to try to get off my soapbox about that. All right, next thing is I want you to educate yourself. Like, just find one random podcast about this that you're interested in and listen to it once a week. You will start, like, almost through osmosis, just normalizing the language, and it will feel less intimidating. And someday you will suddenly go, I want to try out that new investment app. Let me see what I can do. I really like Tori Dunlap's podcast it's called The Financial Feminist. Fantastic. And she's got so much sass. I freaking love it. You got to check her out. I don't think this is a podcast, but I want to refer you to Dow Jane. Love the play on words there. Dow Jane, it's a woman-led financial coaching program, and very approachable, very warm, very capable. I love what they offer. I also love, and you'll hear me refer you guys to this like throughout our entire work together. To Be Magnetic. The expanded podcast. The podcast is expanded. Their program is called To Be Magnetic, also known as TBM, and Lacey Phillips and Jessica. Oh gosh, I forgot your last name, Jessica, right now. Sorry. I love listening to you. But they are talking about neural reprogramming through EMDR and IFS and parts work and manifestation through that lens. But they really do talk a lot about financial investment and how being so smart as a woman is taking control of that yourself. And they have some wonderful strategies that they talk about. Another resource that I'm obsessed with is Diarrhea of a CEO by Stephen Bartlett. Brings on so many great financial investing people. In fact, I recently listened to an episode with J.L. Collins, the man who wrote The Simple Path to Wealth. Loved his tips, makes it so simple and accessible. So check out Stephen Bartlett's podcast. You're going to get great information on health and finance. And he's wonderful about bringing on a tremendous amount of women and female doctors to talk about menopause health that isn't being discussed in our doctor's offices. Finally, I also like Ramit Sethi's book, I Will Teach You to Be Rich. It's a very accessible way of going, okay, how do I invest in myself first and then also have the fun money for the things that really do matter for me. All right. Those are some of your tools for educating yourself, but there are so many out there. Just start looking around a little bit and start getting to know about this. The next thing I want you to start doing is continue building marketable skills. And I understand if you're a stay-at-home parent, this can feel really daunting. So only do it once you reach a capacity where you can, okay? Being a stay-at-home parent is the hardest job I've ever done before. I just want to validate that. It is hard. And I love people when they're like, oh no, it's like super easy. You just get to nap. No, it's the hardest job I've ever had. And I've had hard jobs, by the way. It is very, very hard because none of your time is your own and your brain is just in this chaotic state all the time. So continue building marketable skills. Even if you're in a job, even if it is the ultimate job for you. I'm a therapist. I need to continue learning skills. That's part of the reason I'm doing this podcast right now. I want to expand my speaking skills. And so this is allowing me to do that. Always continue building marketable skills. It will make you have the capacity to earn more money. I still remember in my financial aid job over a decade ago, I was learning so many things about creating fillable forms through Adobe, through PDFs, and even sending out, I don't even remember the term was, but telling computers to wake up and run a list and create a list for somebody to run a report. And I had to learn all of that. And guess what? I've used those skills in my therapy practice. Like, what? I had no idea I would need them, but it was super helpful. All right. The last thing is, this is kind of cheesy, but use your advantage. I don't know if you're aware of this, but all the data shows that women are better at investing, like legitimately better at investing. And it seems to all distill down to the fact that we are more patient. We aren't doing the finance bro thing going, oh my God, I'm going to look at my investments and try to optimize them every day. And I'm going to lose money on cashing this out and transitioning it to that. No, we research very in depth. We set it and we forget it. And that is the key to financial freedom in the long run, to wealth, is put it somewhere you can trust and forget about it. Let it do its magic. All right. All of this, I know it was a lot, but take one of those things, okay? I want you to start asking yourself where you're keeping yourself in the dark. What's one single step you can take just this week to get more honest about your finances? And if you're already honest with yourself, if you're already in the know, what's one step you're ready to take to bring your finances to the next level? Because I know there's something for each of us. Ladies, you have the power to create the life you want, and your financial freedom and awareness is an integral step to making that happen. So I really hope that you've enjoyed this episode today. Stay tuned for the next one. We're going to keep covering stuff that helps you get free in your life in every single way. As we always like to say here at Resource Counseling, I want you to stop chasing, and I want you to start choosing. Thank you so much for joining me today on the Resourced Podcast. My hope is that you learned at least one practical tool you can apply to your life today to move in the direction of your dreams. If you found this content helpful, be sure to hit the subscribe button, leave a review, and consider subscribing to my email list, which is linked in the show notes. And remember, the journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step. What step will you take today?